We don't have prenatal checks. There's no such thing in my country. You would never know until the child is born. And a lot of times the child would be born with this condition, but the parents would not know. The hospital don't even know. Most of the hospitals don't know. They don't tell them. It is when the child is not able to meet their developmental milestone that the parents will start getting worried, and then they would want to come and know. And of course, there's so much superstition in my country that people would think, oh, like personally, I was told my daughter was a snake, that she didn't have any, that because she has no, she had low muscle tone. They said, no, we have to take you to one herbalist or juju man. They are going to do some sacrifices, and then maybe you could take the child and drop by the riverside. The child would go back to the river, that sort of a thing. But because I already knew about Down syndrome, I wasn't taken in. But there are other families that are taken in.
So when Phoenix came up, that we were going to go there, I contacted the Congress and I just said, hey, has anybody ever done this? Has anybody ever set up an interview station and just gathered stories? And they said no, basically just gave me space, and I spent 2.5 days just setting up and interviewing and listening, and 38 interviews,
And I think sometimes, if I got to ask you this, didn't you feel like when you were interviewing these people, you were helping them unburden because they were actually being heard and they needed that, right?
There is a lot of that, yeah.
Well, I think one of the most amazing things was watching the footage of what was shot in Arizona and Phoenix. It just tells you the depth of need for people to understand Down syndrome, not just in America, but globally, and where there's shunning, humiliation, and stigmatization of young people born with this and their families.
As the days progressed, I would start to hear certain patterns. But out of all the interviews that I did, there was at least 5 that when I asked them, was the experience of receiving the news positive or negative, they said positive.
Right.
And I asked why, what made the news positive? All 5 of them said it was the person that delivered the news had a family member or an experience with somebody with Down syndrome. So only 5 out of 38, but 100% of the people who got positive news were because there was a direct connection from the person delivering it.
From the person that understood, had dealt with and understood what Down was. We started this whole special affects to teach people how to be and think and feel about these things. And I'm so proud of what we've done already, but right now I think that this getting a GoFundMe account and asking people, folks, if you ever thought you needed to spend money to alleviate suffering and to bring wisdom, this is the film to do that on. And one of the most important gifts that we give is, as enlightened human beings and souls, we try to teach, ironically, we have to teach physicians, the most well-educated people in the world. We have to teach health practitioners, social workers. We have to teach them that you can't walk in with a judgment about Down syndrome and not understand it and not understand the blessing that arrives with these youngsters. Just the video of this young woman talking about her child being asked by, let's get this clear, physicians to drown her child. It's a snake. Teaches you that we could teach a person to be a healer, but we haven't taught them enough to be a human. And that's important for this message to get out. This film is important. What we're doing is important. The key line here is we counsel hope. This film counsels hope, not just for America. We should be grateful for what we do have. Even though we have ignorance here, it's not on the level of ignorance of taking the lives of children who are blessings to us.
Well, when as the interview wrapped up with Rose, she invited me to come to Nigeria, and
Gotta go.
And I just thought,
Gotta go. And doing everything we can in social media and film where we can reach the world. We can talk to the world now through documentary films. Recently, one of the young directors said, we can get more done in a documentary film teaching truth to the world than we can all the colleges in America. And I am sorry to have to agree with something, but I think that's true. And when we make this film, when we get the money to make this film, when we get our GoFundMe account up, and we find ways to help the world understand. There is no better usage of film. There is no better usage of a documentary. There is no better and more enlightened way to spend our life's energies than to help the world become a little bit smarter, a little bit wiser, a little bit kinder, and a lot more compassionate to the down child.